Hi everyone, Raphael Harry here, and you're listening to White Label American, a podcast where we hear stories from an immigrant or two, sometimes more. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of White Label American. Thank you all for joining us today. And I'm so happy to have with me a very special guest in the studio. But before I get to him, let's get to today's recommendation. So, for today's recommendation, I'll recommend the podcast, The Mundane Festival, episode 549, Aubrey Jean Lambert. So that's a podcast from Chris Lambert, and Aubrey Jean Lambert is his dad. I don't know, does it say Jean or Jean? But it's Aubrey is the first name, and his dad passed away December 2021. And Chris Lambert is a guy who he's an actor, he's a comedian, and he's in the tri-state area. And I hope to catch one of his comedy shows one day. But he always responds when I give him a shout out on social media. But he's a cool gentleman who I just love his take on movies and life in general. He's a funny guy, But this episode, why I'm recommending it is because, he had a great relationship with his father, and after his dad passed away, he knew the death was coming, but he knew his dad was sick. Let me put it that way. And he talks about all that, the relationship, and he had recorded an episode with his father before a few years ago, and you get to hear his father's voice one last time, and it's very emotional. But it's funny. It's funny because he's a funny guy, and you see where he got some of the funny from, and having himself and his dad talk about shows that he liked, talk about movies that he liked. I think it was from 2015 or 16 that he recorded the episode. So it's also a recap, but it's just beautiful seeing someone celebrate their relationship with their father. For most of you who've known me, you know that I never had a relationship with my dad. And that doesn't mean I don't recognize or respect or enjoy seeing people who have a relationship or who had a relationship with their parents. And I learned from all that, and I hope that anyone who checks out this episode will be able to learn something from that. So, with that being said, let's jump to today's special guest. I have the honor of having Ashwin Gopi.
That's right.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I must have forgot again. But yeah. So he's a dad.
Uh-huh.
He's a husband.
Mm-hmm.
He's a teacher, a Brooklynite. He's also a PSP parent.
Yep.
He's an entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
Dravidian.
I'm a Dravidian.
I should have asked you about that word. I forgot because I said I was going to look up how to pronounce it, and then I forgot.
Yeah.
He's the co-founder of Rice Products, a green startup that converts byproducts from the beverage industry into food. And he also teaches at NYU and the New School, helping students turn science into technology. So we got a lot of wisdom in here. We got a lot of fun stuff we're going to be going through. And yeah, so let's dive in. Welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, dude. I just spent the last 6 weeks in South America, in paradise, and now I'm back in Brooklyn, and I love it. It's cold. My skin is super dry.
Oh, man.
It's all ashy, but it's like I love it here. I just love it here.
Hey, I wish I was in South America too. I don't know if I'll be back, but I wish I was in South America.
It's summer in the southern hemisphere right now.
That's true. That's true. So let's see. Where will I begin? All right, your names. Let's start with your names.
Let's start with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So give us the meaning of your names.
Oh, okay. Yeah, awesome. So it's weird because you're right. I am Dravidian, right, which is South Indian. However, my name is Sanskrit, which is an Indo-European language, which means somewhere in the past, my ancestors have been doing some sort of like intellectual hanky-panky with the Northerners, and that's why I have a Sanskrit name. So Ashwin means horse possessor.
Horse?
So, yeah, horse possessor, someone who has horses, like a cowboy or a rancher,
Okay.
or something, or more like a knight, someone who fights on horseback. So someone who's rich enough to like own horses and use it to like fight on the back of. So even in like Latvian or Lithuanian, the word Ashwa means horse, even today. And so it's an Indo-European language. So Ashwin is like off the horse or horsed person, you know, so like a cowboy, you know. And Gopi, on the other hand, means someone who takes care of cows.
Okay.
So my name is, as I say in Spanish, my name is Caballero Ranchero, which means like like a horseman cowboy. So that's my name, you know, like it represents who we were as ancestors. It also represents a sub-religious group within Hinduism. The word Goutham means light and dark, like duality.
Okay.
So the name all together, it could refer to many different things depending on how you interpret it. So it could mean like literally, like as I said, like a farmer's name. It could also mean something like a crusader or a holy knight and things like that. So it can refer to different things. Specifically, it refers to those who worship Krishna, you know, the Hindu god, that guy. So, you know, that's what it means. And so basically, my grandparents, my two set of grandparents couldn't decide whether to name me Ashwin or Goutham. So they decided, fuck it, let's give them both. You know, let him deal with explaining that to USCIS. Oh, that's not my middle name. That's the second half of my first name.
Oh, man.
USCIS is like, no, your initial is G, right? Like, no. Don't have one.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, they didn't think about that. Actually, my name is not even Gopi.
Your last name?
It's not. If you check my birth certificate, my name is not Gopi. There is no Gopi. It's never mentioned.
What?
The very first time the word Gopi appears is on my application form for the first school I went to when I was like 4 or 5. Right? That's the first time the word Gopi appears. So my dad's name is Raj Gopi. So just like how my name is Ashwin Goutham, his name is Raj Gopi. His father's name was Krishnamurti, which is one word, you know. So they named me Ashwin Goutham, you know, according to our tradition. However, because I grew up in Bombay instead of Chennai, where, you know, my family is from, there they have this Western way of naming people with first name and last name. So they broke my dad's name up into 2 pieces and then gave me the second half. And so Gopi is not even my name.
Wow.
You know, I have a title though. You know?
Oh yeah, what's your title?
My title, I have a title. It's we don't use it. It's Modalyar.
What?
Modalyar.
What's that?
Modalyar means the first men.
Oh.
Yeah. And we can talk about where it comes from and stuff like that. But
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
It's a family title. So my grandfather's name was Krishnamurti Modalyar. My father's name would be Rajgopi Modalyar. My name would be Ashwin Goutham Modalyar. But about like a couple of generations ago, we decided to drop our caste names, move into the cities, leave all that kind of life behind and become professionals in an urban environment. So we adopted this like last name naming scheme.
Okay,
so the name Gopi was thrust. Yeah.
So if you had gone by Modelier, that would be
my title
in the caste system.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
My name would have been Ashwin Goutham Modalyar, and people would call me the Modalyar, or you know, who are you talking about? Oh, the Modalyar guy. Oh, that guy. You know, so that would be like who I am and who I become and how you're classified. Wow. And so when people left their native lands and moved into cities, they kind of left a lot of those things behind. Some people brought it with them. Some people left it behind. And they kind of reinvented themselves as just urban people.
Yeah, that was something that I never realized until I saw Hassan Minaj's episode that talked about the caste system and how even asking someone from the subcontinent, where you from, can be a little bit problematic because it's like revealing.
It's more than that. It's confusing because technically I'm Tamil, That's who I am within the Dravidian population. I'm specifically Tamil.
So
Except
the people found in Sri Lanka today.
people who are in Sri Lanka and in southern India,
Southern
you know,
India. I'm used to Tamil from Sri Lanka.
we have our own state. It's called Tamil Nadu. Nadu means country, so just the country of Tamil people.
I'm learning.
And then I figured out that when I was like 14 or 15 that I'm actually not even Tamil.
What?
I'm Tulu. I'm something called Tulu. Specifically, we are Tulu Velalars, which means...
Easy on the sharks, man. I don't know how many I can take.
Yeah. I'm not even Tamil. And that was so shocking to me. Like, 1600 years ago, my family apparently moved... Well, not moved. They conquered the northern part of Tamil Nadu, settled down and became Tamil.
Wow.
Yeah. So that makes you think, like, who really got conquered?
Yeah.
Right?
That's the cool. I was just about to ask, because that's not what I'm used
happens.
to. That someone conquered an area and then, like, you know what? We'll still adapt to their system, their style, or their identity and.
No, just the language. Everything
just language.
Else,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Language and
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really weird how that happened. You know.
Yeah.
1600 years ago, there was this king. He sent his younger brother. He said, "Go conquer this piece of land for me."
Mm-hmm.
And the guy said, "Okay, fine." And he decided to raise an army. So he went around collecting all the second sons of all the farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And he formed an army of second sons. And in order to conquer this part of this land, they had to go through a forest. And the forest was defended by people who live in the forest. And so my ancestors, who were experts in agriculture and irrigation, so guess how they decided to beat them? Because the people who lived in the forest, the tribal people, they were expert guerrilla fighters. They would hide in trees. They would, shoot you with arrows, kill you and run away.
Which don't sound surprising.
And so my ancestors decided to solve that problem by cutting down the forest as they went.
Oh, man.
You destroy the forest, you displace people, you build a road. You can use technology to defeat people is something that, we learned very quickly. We had horses and iron.
Oh,
and so because of that, we totally could defeat guerrilla fighters who were more skilled fighters, but we just had more technological infrastructure to cut down the forest, destroy the forest, push people. Those people, the Kurumbas, even today, are marginalized people. The defeat from there pushed them deeper into the forests, and they could never reintegrate into society because people like my ancestors excluded them, as enemies from participating in civilization. So by building roads and farms, you can now move armies back and forth. You can bring more people, you can bring families. And so they conquered the northern part of Tamil Nadu, and, they became vassals. So they became lords of that area. So they were given pieces of land and people to to cultivate and pay taxes and stuff like that. And specifically my ancestor was someone called Payur. And so we are within Tulu Velalars, we are specifically of the Payur Kutam, which means the crowd, the Payur crowd. We are descendants of this one warrior. Maybe illegitimate, who knows, but so that kind of continued all the way up to 2-3 generations ago, in fact. So it survived for 1,000 years or more, the system in that we worked in. And so my family, we were always in agriculture, food. Some of my ancestors, my grandma is a nutritionist, a scientist. Her husband was also, he was even more direct descendant of a specific prince, and he was an agricultural geneticist. So we all worked in the food. I work in the food industry.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's a genetic. It's a heritage.
Wow, this is beautiful. People. That's why I love doing this podcast because you don't know what each person will bring to the table, and it's beautiful just from asking about meaning of your names and look at the whole history lesson that I've gotten. And that's a part of India, the subcontinent of India, that I'm not really familiar with. I think it's mostly northern India that I know a lot of.
They are
I,
like the
I,
cultural hegemony.
yeah, yeah. So, you've already mentioned a little bit about this place, but introduce us to your place of birth and what childhood was like for you.
Yeah, so I was born in Chennai. Chennai is a small southern city. I call it small. It's got a huge population. It's in the east coast, the southeast of India, and it's kind of like an artificial city. It used to be a fishing village that had deep ports, and so the British decided to build ports and then offices and customs buildings and stuff like that, and brought a lot of administration to the point where it ended up being like a seat of power for the entire southern Indian region, during the British rule.
Yeah.
However, it does have an ancient history as well. It was also a religious center, and it has one of the unique honors of being one of the places where one of the apostles of Christ is buried. So
Really?
yeah, I know
Okay, I wasn't
really
expecting
weird.
that.
It's really weird. So Saint Thomas, Doubting Thomas,
Yeah.
the guy who puts his finger inside Jesus Christ's body because he doesn't believe
That's
that Jesus is alive. So he was sent east to spread the word of Christ. So he went to Syria first.
Yeah.
And from Syria, he got on a ship on an ancient trading route to come to southern India. And he landed in the western part of India, where at that time already there was a Jewish population. So he converted the Jewish population there to, not all of them, some of them into early Christians. A very, very, very early form of Christianity. This is right from even today they call themselves Syrian Christians.
Oh, so they still go by Syrian.
They still go by Syrian Christians.
Wow.
So because they were converted by, originally by Saint Thomas.
Yeah.
And Saint Thomas then moved east. And he goes around here, and there's like a history of him like going through India, converting people. So along the path of his travel, you can still find old churches and small Christian and Jewish communities.
Oh. Okay.
Until he landed in my city, where it was kind of like a cultural religious capital, and apparently he met with the religious leaders there. However, at some point he seems to have been assassinated by being speared and shot by arrows. So it's we don't know who did it. They say that it was done by the tribal people in the hills. It could have been a political assassination.
It's easier to blame them.
It's easy to blame them when you exclude them from society. Could have been a political assassination. Maybe he was threatening the order of
I go with that.
And so he is buried on top of a hill. And also part of him was buried in a church nearby by the beach. So there is a mountain, there's a small hill called St. Thomas Mount that stands even today there. And if you go on top, you can see some of his remains. Some of his remains were exhumed and taken back to Syria in I don't know when, like a few hundred years ago, by a merchant. And so part of him is in Syria, part of him is in our city. So that's our city. It's huge. We are very big in like automobile manufacturing and IT services.
Okay.
Some of the biggest employers. So there are a lot of Korean people in my city. It's a cosmopolitan city-ish. It's not cosmopolitan really, but I have met people from all over the world in my city. It's known for a lot of things: music, art. It's got its own unique culture. However, I need to clarify that I was born there, but I didn't grow up there.
Okay.
For the first 7 years of my life, we lived in Bombay, a much bigger, much more cosmopolitan mini New York of a city in India. And there we lived on top of a hill in a small gated apartment community, where I had kind of like, for the first 7 years, kind of like an idyllic childhood, where me and my friends, we would play, and there are a few of us who would venture, so Bombay was still expanding at that time, constant urbanization. However, at this part, we were at the edge of one of the neighborhoods, and behind our house was just woods. And so we would go into these woods and we would explore them. So we've had a lot of encounters with things like foxes and rabbits and deer. Sometimes we would have even, we heard that there could be a leopard around. Leopards, snakes, a lot of snakes.
Yeah. Snakes over there is like Yeah, you guys got a lot of snakes.
Yeah, we got snakes.
Yeah, there's someone who I follow on Instagram. I have my phone on me. I can't pronounce his name, but that guy is like he's like a snake whisperer, and I love the work that he does because every time in the villages there's a snake that pops up, people they just call him like, hey, come,
Yeah.
And
You gotta get them by the tail.
yeah, I just love that he shows up, grabs the snake. And I'm like, wow! And he actually every time he makes a post, he's giving you a lecture of how this snake is not actually dangerous.
Yeah.
I think Surya. I can't pronounce that.
Yeah, Surya Kirti.
Kitty. Yeah, that guy does a lot of wonderful work. He also saves other animals. But, yeah, I've given him some praise. Like, man, you do amazing.
That's
work.
respectful because all I was used to was looking at people killing snakes.
Oh yeah, that
was
was
very traumatic
in
thing
Nigeria
for me
too.
as a
That was that's what I was used to too.
Yeah.
Even myself, I've killed a few as a kid.
God.
Yeah, because it came with the religious angle too. For us being Christians, well, I was conservative Catholic, but well, Catholicism is considered Christianity in Nigeria.
Yes, it
and
is. Yeah.
you know, you get that story of the snake supposed to be the enemy of man. So if you see a snake,
You gotta kill it.
It's either it kills you or you kill it.
Yeah.
Now, it was later on that you get to find out that not every snake was.
It's dangerous.
It was dangerous. Yeah,
But that's an intellectual position. I think if you go by your instinct, like human biological mammalian instinct, you know, if I see a snake, I am running or killing it too.
Yeah,
I ain't thinking, you know, I'm not thinking at that point.
I mean, if you've been telling the child, you know, you got to kill it. You know, all the older people in the house.
That's what religion is. Religion is about not thinking. It's acting.
That's it.
It's about belief. So you bypass that process. So, you know, I had a very idyllic childhood. You know, we would I would do things that now that I think about it, I cannot imagine letting my child do that. 4, 5-year-old children, miles away from home, in the middle of nowhere, in a forest. You know what we would do? We would climb on water pipes and walk on the water pipes.
Yeah.
And cross ravines. We would get I could have died so many times. I could have been kidnapped, and I was a good-looking kid too.
Yeah.
You know, so. I could have totally got my ass kidnapped. And we could have got lost. We could have fallen into a ravine. A wild animal could have attacked us. I have no idea how our parents just let us go. They had no idea.
They had no idea.
They thought.
I think there was a sense of safety for us back then. Because I think when I was around 6, 7, 8, yeah, we used to playing reenacting war movies was quite popular for the boys. And I jumped over a 7-story building.
Oh my
From
God.
one building to another because we were pursuing the guy, and the guy jumped and was like, "Hey!" They were pretty close. It's not like there was a large distance.
But still,
you know, he jumped, and the other guy was like, "Get him! That's a bad guy! Get him!" And you know, I didn't even think twice. Just whoop. Yeah, he jumped, so I jumped, and then the last kid was like, he looked, no, this is too high.
Yeah.
And we're like, come on, we gotta wait for you now, and all that stuff. Jumped off a bungalow one time, and it was just war games we were playing. Nobody thought about it. Like, what if you jumped and
no consequences?
You did not land properly.
No consequences.
It was but I never broke a bone.
Immortal.
I never knew all that, so it was. I think I was a young adult before someone in my crew actually broke his bone from playing soccer, and I was like, oh, ugh. But yeah, all the stuff we were doing. Even when I got run over by a car, it was an ambulance that ran over me. So, from what you've told us from your childhood, what do you consider your favorite childhood memory?
Let's narrow it down to an age range. You know, childhood is a broad.
Yeah, it's a broad, right? Okay. Should we go? All right, Bombay.
Yeah. Oh, a favorite memory in Bombay.
Yeah.
My first kiss.
Ooh.
My first kiss. I was 6 years old. Shouts out to Tina. I know that I haven't been in contact with her since then, but she was my best friend since we were in kindergarten, and we were inseparable. and we used to live in the same community. We would go to the same kindergarten, and we were such good friends that we had to be separated. So they put me in section A and put her in section B because we would not pay attention to the teacher at all. We would just sit in the back and chat. Since we were like 3-4 years old, even when they put her in section B, she cried so much. They had to let her sit near the door, so we would hold hands. I would be in section A, she would be in section B.
Wow.
But we're holding hands, you know, through the wall, and best friends. And when she was like 6, like they moved to somewhere nearby, and we hadn't seen each other in a while, and we went to her house for a housewarming party. And she was showing me her room, and we crawled under the bed, and she kissed me. She kissed me, and I was so scared. You have no idea. Every time I kiss someone for the first time, I'm there. I'm taken back to being 6 years old, and I become super hyper aware. And that it's that same feeling. I don't understand it. It's the same feeling every time I kiss someone. For the first time, I get hyper aware.
Had you seen people kissing before then?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
She definitely had.
Well, yeah. It's like for girls, it seemed like a whole bunch of them had been. Yeah, they were more. I would say more advanced than us.
Yeah. Do you know what she told me when I was like, "Oh my God, what if somebody sees us?" She was like, "Just shut up and kiss me." She had seen that in a movie. She had seen that in a movie. I had seen it in movies too, but I had no idea how to do it. So I probably was a bad kisser.
Hey,
but I
think if there was a videotape of all of us, back then, because
So I peaked early in my life. I was very successful with women very early on. And so that's definitely my favorite memory. I think about Tina all the time. Shouts out to you, girl, wherever you are. I hope you're happy. And you can find me. Just Google me. Just Google me. You can reach me.
I've never had anyone share the favorite childhood memory being romantic. So this is the first thing. But it's no lie. I think I don't think my first kiss. I think I probably freaked out too. I'm trying to remember who it was. It wasn't Funke. Was it Funke? It was probably Funke or BC. I can't say their last names because
I'm still. They're probably married now.
They're married, have kids, and but one of them.
The son's probably listening to this.
One of them's brothers still listens to the elder brothers. He gonna come like, hey, what are you trying to do? He's trying to do. I'm like, hey man, I'm not declaring anything.
It's a memory.
Just saying.
It's a memory.
But that was we saw it on TV, but I don't think it was expected to happen to us in person. And it happened because I think even when I was 12, there was one day we used to have assembly every morning at school, and they make all the announcements. It was a Christian school, so we did prayers and all that, and sang national anthem. And after that, we head to our classroom. So the boys usually like to run. I don't know why. We just had to run. It was a race to get to class. And on our way to class, going at full speed, there was one of my female classmates was coming from the stairs, coming downstairs, and we were bolting upstairs, and I bumped into us. So I was about to bump into her, so I put my hands in front of me just to prevent from, I think she was falling, so I was just trying to catch her, but it was just without thinking, and unfortunately stopped her by stopping her breast. And that was the first time I touched a woman's breast before, a girl's breast. And it was like there was I got electrocuted.
I know that feeling, yeah.
And I was telling my boy, and he was like, what do you feel like? I was like, I can't explain it. But it was like I touched shoulder pad, one of my aunts or elder sister's shoulder pad. It felt soft like that. That was the only thing. And he was like, wow, you're a lucky guy. I was like, how am I I lucky? She fell into me, and I was trying to protect myself, and that's all I wasn't trying to, because all I was afraid of was she going to report me
Exactly.
to a teacher, or did somebody see me? And would they think that I intentionally grabbed her? And that I was just freaking out. So I was sitting down, just waiting to be called, like, "Oh, you're gonna get flogged," and all that. And nobody said anything. And every time I saw her coming, I would just make a U-turn, go the opposite direction, take off.
I went to Catholic school too.
Oh,
As a Hindu.
yeah.
And in my neighborhood, I had all Muslim friends. So I really, really did not understand religion. I did not understand that there were such thing as different religions. I just thought there's just God and there are different ways to pray to it.
Yeah.
So the whole religion stuff, like I found out only once I left Bombay.
Wow.
Yeah, until then I was super confused about the whole I did not know that there were separate religions.
Well, what was that? What was that experience like for you when you found out, or when you first experienced that there were different religions?
Yeah, it was really weird because I didn't believe in God, even as a child. Like when I was 4 years old, one of my uncles who I really loved died, and that was very traumatic to me. And so since then, I became very angry at God.
Yeah.
I would like do things like desecration and stuff like that on purpose.
Oh, wow.
Like
I wasn't that bold then.
I was like, I would get punished for it. I would get like domestic violence for that, for doing stuff, especially Krishna also. Krishna, Jesus.
Oh, man.
All of them. I was pretty mad at all of them, and so, because like, how dare they let my uncle die?
Yeah.
So I never really believed in God, even when they would try to make me pray, like I would go through the process, but I never ever had religious faith. My very first experience of religion is like being in a temple, being told to close my eyes and pray and like fold my hands, and like me thinking like how silly that felt and how like aware I was of being told what to do with my body and my eyes and whatnot.
And how old were you by then?
Probably like four,
Wow.
4 or 5. Yeah.
You sound like my wife.
Uh-huh.
She's another person who at an early age, she was born to a Catholic family, but they weren't practicing. So one day she just went up and said, "Nah, I'm not going to mass. And I don't feel this. I don't feel it." And she never went back.
Yeah.
But that reminds me, I have to even ask her about if she feels, because she's German. So I have to ask her if she feels this. Apparently, I just learned that if you're German and you stop going to church, there's a paperwork you're supposed to fill out.
Yeah, because they take taxes from you.
Yeah, I just found that out. I was like, whoa, that is, Man, there's some stuff religion does.
Yeah, man, yeah.
But enough of that. Let's take one more question before we go on a quick break. So, as part of your childhood being over in India, cricket is like another religion there. Did you get to play cricket, or were you into other sports?
Yeah, so we played cricket, but I was never like super serious about it.
Okay.
Just for fun, always.
Yeah.
The sport that I really, really enjoyed was field hockey.
Oh, that's you guys are good in that
Field
too.
hockey, you're pretty good at that. And the good thing about field hockey is, as a young boy, everyone's got a stick, right? So you can beat your friends with it and whatnot. So and and it's more like there's more like deftness, and I felt like I wasn't very coordinated with soccer, and so field hockey allowed me to run around with a stick and hit a ball. I mean, why not? Everyone's got a stick.
Yeah.
Like in cricket, there's only one dude with a stick, right? In hockey, everyone's got a stick.
That's true.
So it's pretty fair. So a lot of like monkey business. So I really liked field hockey. I played it for like a year seriously in my school. So that was I also played soccer. So those I would follow more. So I would actually not watch a lot of cricket.
Oh, okay.
I was never really a big fan of cricket. I thought it was too slow and boring. I thought it was like turn-based combat, like Pokemon, right? Like the Pokemon video games, where one person attacks and the other person attacks.
Like, yes. Yeah,
so I was more interested in like active sports, like despite how I look. And so I like soccer and like field hockey, stuff that you can run around and like fight over.
So when you played soccer, what position did you
Defense.
play?
Even for hockey, I was playing defense.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because hockey also has a similar setup
layout,
to,
yeah. Yeah.
soccer. Did you have this confusion that I had when the first time I saw field hockey on American TV?
Mhm.
And, because I think, yeah, for us, I think we just call it hockey.
Yeah, we just call it hockey.
And then here is where they try to differentiate because
Mhm.
here they call it's ice hockey
It's
that they
ice
call
hockey.
hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, wait, when I'm talking about hockey, why?
Yeah.
I think I was talking to somebody. I think I had just moved to America and I was either in the Navy.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was telling him, oh, yeah, in the Olympics, I love watching hockey,
Uh-huh.
which is field hockey. And,
Mhm.
like, no, they don't have that in the Olympics. It's Winter Olympics. Yeah, they have. I'm like, what? No. Hockey, it's on the grass.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
India's
You know,
very
that's the difference
strong
between the people
and,
of the sun and people of the ice.
yeah.
You know?
That's a good one. Oh, man. All right, so let's take a quick break.
Yeah.
And then when we come back, we shall touch on your journey to America.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. We've made it 2 years, and who would have thought so? So let's go further and make it 3, make it 4, make it 5, make it 6. Who knows? 20. But we can't do this without your support. So join us on Patreon at patreon.com/white label American pod or linktree.com/white label American. Go there and you'll see our Patreon link, and you can join us for as low as $3. We have bonus content, we have bonus materials. There's so much juice over there that we don't release to the public. And yeah, you can contribute in making this podcast better. You can send questions, you can send your ideas, and also there's a lot of new things that are coming. The announcements are made on Patreon first because we have to, take care of people who help make this podcast possible. So you can be the one to make this podcast what you want it to be. Come join us on Patreon and make it what you would like to see. Join us, make it fantastic. Keep the 5 stars coming in, keep the love coming in. Thank you for the privilege of your company. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. So you left for the United States.
Yeah.
Wait, before we even jump on you crossing over to the United States, you already began the entrepreneur. You began to dabble into entrepreneurship.
Yes.
What inspired you, or what got you started in that?
I was very materialistic as a child. I wanted nice things. I always wanted nice things. We had television at home, so you could see other people having nice things.
Yeah.
And my parents were not of the belief that you're supposed to give children pocket money. They were loving parents, as much as, whatever, to the best of their abilities, I guess. And so they would get me things. It's not that I never had anything. I would have stuff that other kids didn't have.
Yeah.
I knew I was privileged. But they would only get me things that somehow directly led to my development. So books, they would not even care how much I spend on books. Every single book I wanted, I could get.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what the topic is. They would not question anything about the book. But I had a computer, But for instance, I never had a video game. I would never be given money to basically be like a ruinous youth,
Yeah.
Which I was very, very drawn to, I was all about motorcycles, like I started driving motorcycles. First started learning when I was like 13.
Wow.
By the time I was 14, 15, I could like go across different neighborhoods and stuff. And when you have a motorcycle, now you can take girls places.
Yeah.
But the problem is if you take them places, now you got to buy them stuff. Right? And for that, you need money, and you need money for fuel and stuff like that. And that I could not ask my parents for. But I also felt like I wanted a separation between my life and theirs. They don't need to know everything about my life. And so I really wanted to earn some money, and there was like very few options for me because I really didn't know how to do it in the beginning.
Okay.
It started out with doing simple things like I used to look older than the other kids, so doing things like selling cigarettes or alcohol to other children, like being the local school drug dealer, basically.
Hey.
I would also be, I used to work for this one guy who had a non-profit, and I would volunteer. I would sometimes get tipped and paid. So I was a courier. I would move things. Because I had a motorcycle.
Oh, yes,
Later on, I
which
was
is great
also
for
his driver
career. Mhm.
when I started learning how to drive a car. So I used to do that for him. Mm. Also, there were other things I used to do. So when I was like 16, 17, I mean, I'll be honest. Yeah, I've sold marijuana,
I have to.
Yeah,
So,
but I took the money
but I
and,
didn't get paid for mine. But I did.
oh,
I
no.
sold marijuana. I sold. The person I was
Mm-hmm.
working for, he said he hadn't broken bank yet, so I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't pay. But I did marijuana. I did. We have a local brew, which is the equivalent of our moonshine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the person who I was helping also very, very religious,
Mm-hmm.
and until he found out that his friend next door, we always saw the guy leave at 9 p.m. with two 25 liters.
Uh-huh.
We thought it was water
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's what it
No,
looks like.
moonshine.
And this guy's he has a small frame, small body
Uh-huh.
frame. So the 25
Yeah,
liters
yeah.
that he was carrying, which was 50
Uh-huh.
liters literally,
Oh my
they
God.
look bigger than this dude. And we're like, where is he going? Every 9 p.m. So one night,
Yeah.
we're able to sneak out of the house,
Mm-hmm.
myself and my cousins. And I was the youngest and the smallest. And we followed this guy for like a mile or two.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually taking it into the red light district
Mm.
to go sell. And we're like, man, this guy's always talking about the Bible, preaching
Yeah,
every
yeah,
time. We
yeah.
can't even have a regular conversation. Like, hey, did you see this soccer game? According to Ecclesiastes, and like, God
Oh my
damn, just the Bible, the Bible. So
Yeah, yeah.
we didn't think he went to those areas, and that's how we accosted him the next day. And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, I sell.
Yeah.
Would you like to join me? What? Yeah, would you like to join me? I need help carrying.
Oh my
I can make
God.
more." And
Yeah, yeah.
and that's how he introduced us. And yeah, I still didn't
Yeah.
get paid.
Oh man, religious people, man.
But yeah.
Can't trust them, dude.
Oh yeah.
Also, my very first like
Mm.
attempt at making like a startup or something was like when I was like 18, 19, was doing search engine optimization for US based businesses.
Wow.
So we would do things like look at their website, consult with them, and then like write articles for them. So I was an editor. So we had 30 writers. So I would
Wow.
do things like distribute topics to people. So we would figure out like what kind of topics we should write about for this website to make sure that anyone using Google can find them more easily. And so we would, and then we
Hey,
would
how old were
distribute.
you when you were doing that?
18, 19.
Wow.
Yeah. It's because I had a computer at home.
Okay.
So, that was the
But
way.
still, there are lots of kids who have computers
Uh-huh.
at home who that
Yeah.
would be the farthest thing on their mind.
Yeah. So I had the internet from an early age too.
Yeah.
So I kind of was able to do all this, and I used someone in the US as my bank, because I couldn't get charged. I couldn't charge them.
Okay.
So I used someone here as a bank, and they would like send me money. We made after paying all my writers and everything, we still made like a profit,
Wow.
and we did that for a couple of years. Of course, all of the money was then subsequently spent, on travel, guitars,
Hey.
motorcycle,
Hey.
car,
Hey.
phone,
Hey.
laptop, but mainly travel. Going to other places, hotel rooms, you know how it is.
Hey, you gotta treat
Yeah,
yourself, man.
yeah.
No, but
And
what
it's
I
a-
like
yeah.
the most is that you still took care of the people who worked for you.
Yeah.
You did that before having your phone. I mean, there's
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, I respect that. I respect that because there are times I've met people who like, hey, how did you get into entrepreneurship? Why did you do it? And it's always like, oh, I they start giving you some. And I'm not saying all of them are wrong, but sometimes you just feel like, this feels like a prepared talking point that you just
Yeah.
had waiting to use.
Yeah.
But when you hear something that's organic, you just know,
Yeah. Okay,
And there's
let
nothing
me-
wrong with wanting to have nice things because
Yeah,
we all
of course,
wanted
100%.
nice things, but not all of us knew
Yeah.
how to do it or go about it.
Yeah.
So when you see someone who went about it, and I'm like, yes, I'm where I'm at now. I'm like, yes, get it,
Yeah.
get it, treat yourself. And
But I'll be honest, okay. I also was a little bit of I wasn't like a pure-hearted entrepreneur either. So, for instance, like writers would get paid like $1 per article, and because of that, there were some writers, who were so productive that they potentially could have earned more than me.
Yeah.
But I would I would put a cap on that.
Wow.
Because I didn't, but that was me being like an asshole for no reason.
But at a young age, you were figuring all this out.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I felt that would undermine my position as being editor. So
yeah,
I would artificially cap it and I would distribute it to other people, But there were some people who had the potential to earn more money who I forcibly kept down on purpose. So that I'm just saying, I wasn't a pure-hearted.
No.
There was a little bit of that too, and I also did some other shady stuff. Like I sometimes would. There was another guy who used to do this, and he used to outsource the article writing to me.
Okay.
And then I figured out who he was getting work from and went over him and undercut him. So I used to do things like that too. I'm just saying, I was even with the marijuana business and stuff. We used to bribe people to be able to sell in nightclubs and stuff like that.
Well, if you're into marijuana business and you're in places like India, Nigeria, you're not bribing somebody, I don't think you're really in those businesses.
So I did do some of that stuff too. But anyway, all of that money, I then spent on applications for US universities. It's $200 per application, and so it adds up.
It does add up. And $200 is not a small piece of change.
Not green card, what do you call it? Visa application, doing things like whatever, GRE and TOEFL, paying for all of that. So you had to take those too. I had to take all of those things to come here, and so all of the money that I made as an entrepreneur in India, I gave it back to the U.S. government.
Hey, Uncle Sam needs it,
It comes around. Yeah.
So, when you made your choice to come to United States, did you is there a possibility you could have ended in a different city from New York area that you came to?
Yeah.
So what were your options?
Yeah. So after my undergrad, I decided to apply for a few universities for my master's degree. My options were where my parents wanted me to go was Singapore.
Oh.
Because it's 2.5 hours away, and so they could visit me.
Okay.
And I could visit, but I did not want that.
Yeah.
I also applied and got into University of Bocconi in Milan.
Oh, okay.
So that was an option for me. I got into University of Southern California, Long Beach, but I did not get a scholarship.
Okay.
And then I got into the NYU Engineering School in Brooklyn as well, and a few other universities like Case Western. But the NYU was the one that I had the most amount of scholarship for, and so that's the one I selected. Plus, it was in Brooklyn. Brooklyn was on my list of places I wanted to live in my life,
Why?
Along with Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Because I loved hip-hop. That's simple. I loved hip-hop. I loved music, art. I wanted to be a hipster. I wanted to have that lifestyle.
Okay.
When I was 20 years old, that kind of indie lifestyle I thought was attractive. And I wanted to be in Brooklyn.
Hey.
I wanted to be in Brooklyn. I wanted to be where Biggie was from.
Brooklyn is the place, man.
Yeah.
Brooklyn is the place. So, do you remember your flight to United States? And was that your first flight outside of India?
No. So I had already been to France and Singapore and all over Southeast Asia and stuff like that. My parents used to live in France. My dad used to live in Jersey, actually, in Newark, in New Jersey, but I never visited him there. No, but when I first came to the US, the first time I was flying to a foreign country alone. I think I have flown to France alone, but there it was different kind of immigration process.
Okay.
But here in the US, where the first time I landed, and I was at JFK Terminal 4, and I saw that. I'm sure you've seen that line to get in.
Yeah.
That line was I was like, it was crazy. It was crazy, and the guy, the USA, the Department of Homeland Security officer there was scary.
Oh.
He had way too many questions that I was not prepared to answer. He's like, "Why are you here?" What do you mean, why am I here? It's on the paperwork, And he's like, "No, no, no. Why are you here?" I'm like, then I had to like explain to him. I was there to study and stuff like that, and like it was really scary experience getting through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and still I get like PTSD from going through the immigration line at JFK Terminal 4. I don't know what it is about that particular terminal. Also, I think it's the design. It's kind of like a big open hall, and so everything is visible. People's fear is you can smell it.
I think I know the terminal you're talking about.
Yeah, Terminal 4.
Yeah.
All the airlines from the Middle East and stuff lands there. So
Yeah.
that's what we take. And so that's a really scary design for a room. There's a big open hall where judgment is passed on you,
But
right?
that's
and you have to wait in line to
that's a
receive
good
your
analogy
judgment.
there. It's just that's
really
what they
scary.
are. They're literally passing judgment.
Yeah, on you. And so far, but anyway, we got through. I didn't travel exactly alone. I came with some couple of other people who were coming to the same university.
Okay.
We met and we decided to fly together. But yeah, we all met on the other side. And for the first time, we were on US soil. It was August 2010.
Oh, okay.
August 15th.
So yeah, the weather was
nice,
Yeah.
not too bad, and I remember going on the A train, right after the air train, and on the A train, I saw the graffiti. A train in Queens, it's above ground, and then it enters underground in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And that during the transition, you see a lot of graffiti and stuff, and I felt at home. I was like, oh, so New York is exactly like Paris or India or like any other part of the world. Yeah.
So, with that being said, what did you have a moment after that was your welcome to America moment, as in a culture shock, or something that is a surprise, or something that stood out to us that still stands out to you right after you arrived in the States?
One of the I really still not very fully clear on what exactly is American culture and so on. I still consider myself part of like New York and Brooklyn, So can I talked about my first like New York moment?
Yeah.
Is when I tried to enter again. I don't know why it's the A train. My whole life used to revolve around the A train, but I tried to get into the A train before the people got out.
Oh.
And a guy told me, he said, "Get the fuck back." And I was like,
I've almost been that guy, to be honest.
And I was
that
like,
pisses me off.
And I was like, damn, he got me. He got me. He's right. I should get the fuck back. And then I was like, that was my moment. I was like, wow. So people here have rules. People follow the rules here, unlike in India where it's like there are no rules. It's might makes right,
Everybody for yourself.
Yeah. And so there are rules, and people were confident and forced to enough to enforce it themselves. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was like good, and that it was like, it was inspiring to me. I have also done that a lot since, been like confidently telling people what to do and the right thing to do. That was like shocking. Nobody has ever told me, no stranger had ever told me to do the right thing in that tone ever in my life,
Yeah.
And so he did. And so he taught me a lesson, but he also taught me the culture of Brooklyn.
Of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty thing is that you knew you were wrong there.
Oh, 100%. I was.
That's why it lands. It lands beautifully, because no matter how you're feeling, when someone does that,
I was mad at him, but I was mad at myself.
I did.
I was like, he got me. He got me. He was right. I was an asshole. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I haven't been on the A train since the pandemic.
Yeah,
I haven't.
Neither.
I just recall that I've been on the R. I've been on the
C, never the A.
Yeah, I've not been on the A.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I haven't.
A
Wow.
train, man, craziest train of all
I thought it
time.
was the F train that was the craziest because all my
What?
buddies who are from Brooklyn and
No
they
way.
have crazy stories about the
No
F
way.
train.
No way. Where does the F go? Where does the F go?
What
Park
else?
Slope, Coney Island. No way.
Yeah.
A train, dude. A train, Euclid Avenue. We're talking about Broadway Junction after 2 a.m.
Yeah.
They sell alcohol on the train, on the A train, nutcrackers.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I'm
haven't been
talking about?
on the A train that late. So
Yeah.
I
I've
think
seen
I scuba.
fights.
Yeah, I've seen
I've seen
fights on
stabbings
the
on
R
the A
train.
train.
I've seen on the N train too. I've seen.
A train goes through East New York, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Say no
Just
more. Say no
saying.
more. Say no more. You're right. Say no more. I forgot about that part. Yeah. See, it's been a while. I've been on A train. So, how was your college experience being at NYU? Yeah, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I really liked it. I think I kind of like thrived at NYU. For the first time, I felt like I was in a kind of environment that was very like supportive. A lot of criticisms about NYU, but I cannot criticize the people there. The people are good. There are caring professors.
Yeah.
There's a professor who really, she saw the potential in me. In my first week, she hired me in like in an interview, like in 30 minutes. Just we were talking, and then she's like, yeah. And I worked with her for 5 years after that. So I found really some people, I found a community of people that I really fit in with, and it was like very intellectually stimulating, and there are a lot of resources that it gives you to support you.
That's good.
To do the things that you want to do and build the things you want to build. And so, it's really a privilege to be able to get paid to think, to read, write, and speak.
Yeah.
Because those are my only skills. That's it. The TOEFL is the only thing that really has measured my capabilities, and I feel like being able to do that in an environment that's supportive is pretty good. So I would say I like the people there. Even today,
Yeah.
I still teach there.
Yeah.
And the reason I teach there is because I love the students, and more importantly, I love the people in the department. They're all like weird nerds, but they have my respect and also my love.
So I was going to come to you teaching, but before I get to that, I think this podcast now we've had how many people from NYU, and it's not like I planned it, but
I mean, no, it's the city, dude. That's the city. They have the monopoly. They're like the sugar and cement guy from Nigeria.
I had what's his Brian, who teaches at NYU now.
Yeah, Brian.
A good friend of the podcast,
and me.
And my family too, and we're waiting for his part 2 so we can debate over jollof. Oh, well, actually, Ghana and Nigeria are facing each other next month for World Cup qualifier. Maybe I should get Brian for that. And the first person was second person was Abraham Ampa, who's an actor. So he went to the what's the school called over at NYU?
Steinhardt, Tisch.
Yeah, Tisch.
Yeah.
So the School of Arts, and my Ukrainian brother Vadim, also NYU. So I probably have a couple who I've missed, who I may not have noticed were NYU. So I was like, wow, And the funny thing is that if I wasn't in the wrong mental space when I got out of the Navy, probably I would have gone to NYU. It would have been one of the places I would have gone to. Yeah. So for someone who has always had that independent spirit right from childhood, how do you now go from utilizing that independent spirit into teaching? How does that work? Because I like for me, I've had lots of people who are educators in my family, and it just seemed like they were constrained by educating. And I think that also speaks to being an educator in a colonized system. Well, being here, that's the advantage of being somewhere like United States and New York in general. So how's that been going for you?
I do try to like bring in my distrust of institutions into my teaching by adopting critical perspectives as well. So my classes, they're not purely functional.
Yeah.
They're not purely about giving students tools to become better employees.
Mm.
I tell my students all the time, like, sure, this is an investment and it for your career and blah blah blah. But it's not my job to make you a good employee. I don't care about what corporation you go work for after this. I don't really care. I'm not going to teach you how to be a good employee. That's your job. You figure that out. I'm not here to teach you that. So I don't teach. I give them some tools and methods and stuff like that. What I'm here to teach is perspectives. I'm teaching them how to think.
Okay.
What are the different options they have, right, in order to think? And so, in order to do that, I give them some interpretive, perspectives, different ways to interpret it, just different views. But specifically, I also give them a critical perspective. Like, I make them question existing power structures, things that they've taken for granted, things like how technology design can reinforce cultural and social values, how like corporate policies can do the same thing, how can regulations do those things as well.
Okay.
Specifically, my focus is on technology and mostly for for-profit businesses, because that's the neoliberal education system. Here it exists. Here also we are colonized, except here we are colonizing ourselves. But within that system, I try to give them like critical thinking approaches too. So I make it very explicit. I tell them we are going to take some Marxist perspectives, feminist perspectives, post-colonial perspectives in analyzing technology as well.
What if going by the way some people are in the political space right now, who are threatened by education, anything in education that they don't like, wouldn't they look at what you're doing and refer to that as chaos?
Not necessarily, like I also tell them like how these methods can actually be used to create actual impact. Even critical perspectives, they do have functional value. Not all critical methods, lead to solutions being things like changing culture and, like as you say, chaos and anarchy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can actually use critical methods to design technology better, to make it more valuable and impactful. You can actually use it to develop regulations, where you can check the power of corporations and give power to people. And so that appeals to those who are authoritarian. It appeals to those who are libertarian. It appeals to populists, anarchists, communists. Like, really, who is going to disagree with that?
I know people. Have you heard some of them? I've heard a lot of them, and they're like, he loves saying critical right now. I think he might be a critical race theory. It's critical race theory.
It's critical race theory.
Critical race theory right there. Yeah. We need to ban him. Ban any book that he's ban everything that comes from him.
I haven't really. I don't know. They maybe I would love to talk to a person like that, actually. I pray for a student to like stand up and like say anything against me,
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping at least then they would engage in the class at least a little bit. But I'm always open to talking to people who disagree with me. I think that I would have a good time with them, and maybe we could find things that we agree on for sure.
All right. So, I could continue this conversation forever, but I have to start bringing this home.
Yeah.
So let me see. I have loads of questions. So
Let's try to get through. Let's do a lightning round.
I want. Well, there's one more that I have that I don't know if I want to do a lightning round with that one.
Sure.
Actually, there's two, but okay. The first one. Do you have a love story that you'd like to share with us?
A love story?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'm married right now.
Yeah. That's where I was going, except you had a secret family. Then, you had it here.
I do have a secret family. My wife, Bertha, and I, we met at NYU. We were in the same department, working on different fields of research.
Okay.
Started out as friends. Which then escalated as we spend more time with each other.
Escalated.
It's loving someone from South America has a lot of advantages and disadvantages.
Ooh, tell me.
Uh, you know, they are passionate people.
Yes.
They're not the best planners and executors. You know what it is? I realize it's not them. South Americans exist outside of the history continuum because their culture was completely destroyed and recreated.
That's true.
Their sense of time is like people from China also, I feel, are like
Well,
that.
a lot of colonized places
Yeah,
have that.
they exist completely outside of time, and so they have very little historical perspective. They really are living in the moment, which I admire a lot. I wish I could do that. Like Indians believe themselves to be in the middle of a 14,000-year continuum, right?
Oh,
Where
okay.
that's why like the way we think is like super long term. But
Oh,
Ecuadorians, man, they are living for Saturday night. And
hey,
I 100% I'm on their side with that.
I
I
need I need
love
to
them
move.
for it,
I need to. Yeah, maybe that's where I should begin.
And but at the same time there are challenges, right? And the main challenges is immigration. Our love itself, our desire to be together is what has been driving so many of our choices.
Yeah.
And at the same time, our enemy has been Department of Homeland Security, USCIS, Donald Trump. Not even Donald Trump. What's that guy? Like Stephen Miller and
Oh,
what's his son? What's Donald Trump's son-in-law's name? Kushner.
Kushner. Yeah,
Those two guys,
Jared
Stephen
Kushner.
Miller and Jared Kushner, really, really fucked with us.
Oh,
He really fucked with us, that bastard. Both of them, and really, those kind of things have an impact,
yeah.
on people's lives. So the U.S. government has been pretty challenging to deal with for us. And other things too, like the US government and other forms, like access to healthcare and stuff like that. It's been pretty challenging. We have been together since 2013, had a lot of challenges. We have traveled all over the world together,
Nice.
We've lived together in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy. Beautiful 5 years we spent together there. Right next to Herbert Vaughan King Park. That's our park. We have our bench there. And so we're really like a Brooklyn couple, I think,
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
another Brooklyn mixed race couple,
Hey, yeah, the lots of us. Yeah.
And, it's strange. I tell people, like, if you put a pin through my city in India, through the center of the world, and you come through the other side, you're somewhere near Ecuador.
Oh,
Yeah. And
hey,
I
look at
found it
that.
interesting that I found someone all over and like since then, yeah, we've been married and now we have a green card, and so we have more stability, and so now we're able to do other things like, should we buy a house? Like, should we move to Madrid in 5 years? Stuff like that. Now we can plan.
Okay.
Before that, our love was kind of like existed in the moment,
Wow.
and kind of like outside of time, but also outside of space. Because you don't know, are we going to be here? Are we going to be somewhere else? I can't come to your country. You can't come to mine. We both can't be in this country. If we get separated, what do we do? Meet 5 years somewhere in Italy or something, like, So that kind of stuff was always, it still creates anxiety.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. My last interview was with someone who lost her parents when she was 15, and the parents had not officially secured her paperwork, so she ended up being a stateless citizen.
Yeah.
And she had left country of birth since she was age 4, and around age 21, USCIS ICE people show up at her college, like, yeah, we're here for you. And it's like, yeah, because you're not a citizen. Like, she went to apply for student loans, and that's when it triggered the alarm.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's so many. It's more popular to just show people at the southern border, which isn't, which is a thing. But like the other day, I even recommended on one of my previous episodes, a podcast I listened to. Dang, I forgot. I'm trying to recall the title, but it was from Native Americans, the host of the podcast, and they were talking about immigration, the border, and how their voices are never heard when those discussions come up, because a lot of the people who are crossing are also indigenous people.
Of course.
and it's literally their cousins. That's
Yes.
how they describe them. And
Of
he said, so
It's human migration.
it's human. There's nothing illegal about
Of
them
course.
because you chase them away.
Yeah, the borders existed after
Yeah,
they were here.
you chase them in the first place, and then now that their current place of residence
Yeah.
is destabilized, they have a right to come back to their
Hell
original homes.
100%.
And I was like, you know what? I don't hear this point of view.
Yeah.
I've never heard it.
Yes.
It's always just, it's only Hispanic people that are at the borders. And one day I found out there's a whole bunch of Africans at the border. And I'm like, wait, if the Africans there's a whole bunch of people. And then I'll go to a pub and then I'll meet an Irish bartender who's like, hey, man, I don't have papers. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I'll understand why when as soon as Trump started doing his rhetoric, the Irish prime minister came over and signed a treaty with Trump that said he wouldn't deport Irish people who did not have papers. And I got to understand what was in play there. And I was like, wow, but that wasn't big. It wasn't a big talking point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's so many people. There was someone who I was actually going to bring on the podcast, and I saw a post that he made on Instagram. He was mad that Black Lives Matter supported immigration, immigrants, and he was like, "Black people we're not at the border. We don't migrate here. We don't come through the border." And I was like, "How can you say that? You're from Barbados?" And he didn't get the point, and I was like, you know what? I'm glad I saw this post because I can't bring you here because you're just not gonna make sense. You're not.
Yeah.
It's gonna look like, except if I want to bring you here to fight. So I'm not about that. So there are lots of stories that need to be heard. There are a lot that we don't know about when it comes to immigration.
Yeah, fuck borders.
Oh man, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And we just only look at it. If you look at it from only a black and white perspective, nothing will ever be done. But that's why I try to bring as many voices as possible to share their stories and give us an insight into what we are missing, and hopefully people will be encouraged to go take the research further than where they're currently at.
Yeah.
So, man.
Man.
You got there are lots of things I need to talk to you about. So we gotta bring you back again. So
I'm 100% back.
Before we officially hit the end, there's two questions that I gotta ask you. So, one, you've done a lot of traveling. You're a Brooklynite. When it comes to food, where's your loyalty, man? What's the cuisine that's number one for you right now? Your go-to cuisine
right now?
You got to betray somebody because one community gonna come after you. So this is a controversial question.
Chinese.
What? I wasn't expecting that.
Chinese. 100%. In Brooklyn, anywhere in the world, wherever I am, I love Chinese cuisine.
Wow.
Chinese cuisine, man. Flushing.
Yeah.
That's my jam right there.
I haven't been there too in a while.
I love Grandma's Dumpling in not Flushing Mall, the other mall, but it's pretty good. I love Chinese food. I love Chinese people.
I love every
Chinese
both
friends.
the Americanized Chinese food and the authentic Chinese food.
So
I'm down.
even I don't like the American Chinese food, but I know some places which are like your typical American Chinese fast food. But if you ask them nicely, and maybe if you buy them some Szechuan peppers, they can make you some pretty good authentic stuff too. So that's what I used to do with my
I have to ask my
spot.
Chinese auntie. I have a Chinese auntie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right from my very first week in Brooklyn, I've been eating at her place almost. Yeah, she knows me. Before we had my daughter, she's seen my daughter after my daughter was born. Like, so yeah, so like I just show up. She's like, you want your usual? All right, any other person ask for it, but me, she knows my usual. So.
Chinese food always treated me well. They have vegan options, and they can make it spicy. They whatever. I guess that would. Yeah, I know it's weird, but I'm a vegan.
No, it's not weird.
So Chinese food for me, 100%. They know how to treat a vegetable properly.
Actually,
They respect
the first
vegetables.
vegan I had on this podcast was she's someone born in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, from southern China. So yeah, but she became a vegan while schooling.
Love Chinese food. I missed it so much in Ecuador.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so second to the last question.
Mhm.
Also similar to the last one,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
travel, you've been around
Uh-huh.
places in
Uh-huh.
the world, and you've
Yeah.
already alluded to a son of Brooklyn,
Yeah.
who, he relates to this question.
Yeah.
So everybody who's been on this podcast, we
Yeah.
consider you a dancer. You
Uh-huh.
have no choice. If you say you can't dance, we tell you get up and get out now. Stop recording. Get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need you to dance for 1 hour. Don't worry, there's not going to be a video recording of
Uh-huh.
this.
Uh-huh.
But we need you to dance for 1 hour.
Yeah.
We need you to drop 3 artists
Uh-huh.
that can keep you dancing for 1 hour.
Yeah.
At least an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't give us the most popular names.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hit us with 3 artists.
Who can make me dance?
Yeah. And
Okay, I got 3 names.
You
I
can
got
give
3
us
names.
one from your wife's area. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you want to
Okay.
give us from
one
Chennai.
one from my area. I got
that's
you.
fine. But
All right. Okay. I'll throw out 3 names right now.
okay.
From Colombia,
Oh,
Octavio Mesa.
Octavio
Octavio Mesa.
Mesa.
He's a Antiochian Andean singer.
Okay.
He passed away a few years ago, but he makes parandero music. So
Parandero.
it's music for ruffians and thugs who live in the mountains with machetes,
Oh, that's
and
serious.
they grow cocaine, and they don't care about the government or institutions.
Okay.
They're really anarchist music, but the music is amazing. Love it.
I'll have
It's
to
very-
check it out.
It's very nice. It's very like upbeat,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of like double meanings and like
Mm.
curse words in it.
Okay.
So that would be Octavio Mesa. He's number 1 for me, right?
All right.
Also from Sri Lanka, MIA.
Oh,
The
MIA.
MIA, the rapper. The first musical act I saw in Brooklyn also. First time I saw her.
Yeah,
live.
she still makes
Hi.
music.
She retired.
Oh.
Yeah, my heart broke when she did
yeah,
that.
that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah, she can.
But as far as she's happy.
a billionaire. Yeah, and she's still an artist. Always, I'm in love.
Yeah, I was in
MIA.
love with that
MIA.
Bad Girls video. I used to think she was Arabic because
Yeah.
I was in the Middle East
Uh-huh.
and they play that song all the time.
Oh yeah,
Bad girls do it well.
She's Tamil.
Wow.
She's Tamil.
Yeah.
She uses a lot of Tamil music in her songs.
Yeah.
Especially
Oh,
in the
yeah. That
early
makes sense
albums,
now. That makes sense.
Tamil
now.
film music. So I really, really love her. Third, I'm going to go. This is tough.
Okay, you can give us someone from Brooklyn.
I'm going to betray Brooklyn right now, and I'm going to go to Cambodia
Oh, okay.
and Pandron.
Pandron.
Pandron from Cambodia.
How you spell that?
Panron, I think. Panron.
Okay.
She died during the Khmer Rouge, so she kind of disappeared in 1976.
Oh, so that's some old school music.
Yeah, and so they never found her after that.
Oh,
Apparently, she and many other people who were bringing Western culture
Oh,
into Cambodia were murdered
yeah.
during the Khmer Rouge, but she made a lot of very beautiful music, some of which still survives today. Like she's got
Alright.
I think there are 12 songs.
Yeah, definitely.
And
check that out.
I'm in, yeah. I guess like maybe like my wife is really mad at me because she's like, why are you always in love with unavailable women? In addition to me, right?
Hey,
Like always like like a dead woman from Cambodia.
Your wife asked the question up front. Mine just laughs at me.
Yeah.
I tell her like, yes, what was I
yeah.
talking about yesterday? And I said Charlize Theron and myself have a thing going on, but she just doesn't know
Yeah,
about it yet. But
But I'm going to like break your question a bit, and I am going to give you someone from Brooklyn also.
Hey, go ahead. We can
Thinking
make it
like,
fall.
just that her name is Alex Mali.
Alex Mali.
Alex Mali. Okay, that's a small name. She's got like an album out there. She's a beautiful singer.
Okay.
Sings so well. I was going to say like Bobby Schmurder or Sheck West or something, but I think Alex Mali deserves a shout out. She's a very talented singer.
And I do check out all the recommendations from all my guests, and that's how my music playlist keeps growing and growing. Because I'm like, wow, okay, I'm feeling this music. I'm feeling it. Yeah.
I play acoustic guitar.
Oh,
I used
cool.
to be in a band.
Oh, man. All right. So
Okay.
Save that for part 2. We got to do part. Man, this guy saved. You had some good juice like that. You mentioned that from the beginning.
I did say I spent all my money that I made from marijuana on guitars, right?
Well, that's true. That's true. Yes, you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Thank you for giving me your time today.
Thank you.
And final question.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to leave the audience with? Could be from your mantra, could be a favorite quote, could be, you
Mm.
know, from one of your rappers or one of your
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
artists. Hey,
Okay,
freestyle.
I'm gonna like flip on you a little bit over here, and I'm
Okay.
gonna like tell you something that um there is a, or I guess there was a French philosopher called Bernard Stiegler, who in the
I
70s
know
was
that
a
name.
bank robber,
Hmm.
and he went to prison for robbing banks, and then he became a philosopher in prison, like many other philosophers throughout history. Like something about prison really makes a man want to read some books. you know and one of the things that he says, he's trying to like bring together different ideas, and he's like, he says like people have this sense of feeling out of place and out of time, and that's not their fault. However, the only way to get over that feeling of alienation and isolation is to reach out to another person, have some sort of material connection to somebody. It doesn't matter who, even if you're serving a community, even if you have to wash the feet of the poor and homeless, at least you get to have human contact, you know? And that kind of like releases some sort of like, he calls it like libidinal energy
Yeah.
um, in human beings that makes us feel human and in fact be human. And so I highly recommend everybody. My recommendation is just touch someone with their consent as much as possible. Really, that's the only true gift that makes us feel alive. I'm very privileged like that, especially like all over the world. Anywhere I go, I have someone to hold.
Yeah.
But there are people who have no one.
That's true.
And I highly recommend. That's what we need to do is find out how do we break down the barriers for literally human physical contact, especially during a time when there is a pandemic that forces us to be 6 feet apart and covered up and masked up and stuff like that. And we are looking at each other as biological agents of destruction, and institutions and governments and the media tells us how to behave. I just say, yeah, but what really makes us human is this ability to be in contact with each other. So find a way to do that. Don't forget. Don't you deserve it.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves a hug.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you again for that beautiful words of inspiration. Um, I didn't do a question where I normally ask about your company and
Yeah,
your
we'll come back
business.
to that in part 2.
But for a plug, you still have to do a plugin.
I still have to do
Give
a
us
plug.
a plugin. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Check out riceproducts.co. That's my website. That's for our company. It explains what we do and blah, blah, blah. Do that. Also, check out the Upcycle Food Association. If you're making any food with like upcycled ingredients, or you're interested in sustainability in general. Also, I don't know, hit me up, I guess, on Twitter at Ashwin Gopir, and let me know if you want like access to like lectures and stuff like that. Like I have a lot of resources that I have as being part of a university that I can give people too,
All right.
So hit me up if you want like a free subscription to a journal or something.
Hey,
Yeah.
people, you hear that, man? Take advantage of that.
Yeah.
All right. So, everyone listening, thank you for giving us your time too. Don't forget to go on White Label American, www.whitelabelamerican.com. Hit the subscribe button. If you want to donate, we accept coffee donations. You can get a membership there, or you join us on Patreon, where we have bonus content.
Pay this man.
A lot of bonus content, hidden stuff there. You won't get it anywhere. So yes, join us. Keep the support coming in. Go to our merch store, buy merch. You're supporting a veteran. You're supporting Black-owned businesses. I'm not the owner of the merch store, but you're supporting all of us. And we want to expand this team so we can bring more good stuff to you. So thank you for the privilege of your company. Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoy the show, we'll appreciate if you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. If you have any questions, comments, or have someone who will be a good guest on the show, or you want to be on the show, send us a message at whitelabelamerican@gmail.com. And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at White Label American. Thank you for your support.